Inclusive acceptance is the active and intentional practice of ensuring that all individuals from all backgrounds, regardless of age, gender, ability, and socioeconomic status, are fully integrated and valued and empowered and able to participate in all aspects of community life, because you see, it extends far beyond tolerance by challenging systemic barriers, creating equitable opportunities, and fostering a genuine sense of belonging for everyone, guaranteeing fair and meaningful access to things like education, employment, healthcare, and transportation, and community life. It's something that my friend Jared Rayter has dedicated himself to advocating for throughout the course of his entire life. Jared is an inspiring stand-up comedian, disability advocate, and content creator who put his comedy career on hold for more than a dozen years before making the courageous decision to resume pursuing the dream that has always been calling him. Yet and still, that's just the iceberg of Rayter's story that I'm inspired to share with all of you today. Throughout his life, Jared has navigated significant challenges, including navigating life with bipolar disorder and losing his mother at a young age, rather than allowing those experiences to define him. He has chosen to move forward in life with resilience, gratitude, an unwavering commitment to humor, and finding joy in every aspect of life, even during life's most difficult moments. And his philosophy is simple, powerful, but clear. Life is better with more laughter. It has the ability to bring people closer together. Comedy can open conversations, break down stereotypes and barriers, and remind us that our shared humanity is much greater than our differences. Jared believes when we laugh together, we create opportunities for better understanding, acceptance, and stronger communities. Beyond the stage, Jared has also built a solid TikTok following where he shares uplifting, humorous, and thought-provoking content surrounding diversity, equity, and inclusion, diversity awareness, mental health, and perseverance. Through his content, it's Jared's goal to bring an authentic voice to humor, understanding, and to be relatable. He hopes to use social media as a platform for hope, inspiration, education, and meaningful connection. And he joined me this week to tell me why life is better with a little laughter and content which can uplift and encourage all of us to make a meaningful difference in society. I'm Kevin McShann. Let's have this conversation. Fabulous. Well, Jared, if you're ready, my friend, I'll take a moment to welcome you to the program. And I'm super excited to learn about your inspiring life journey. It's great to see you again, my friend. And
Yes.
happy Wednesday to you.
Happy Wednesday to you too, Kevin. It's wonderful to see you again. And thank you for giving me this fantastic opportunity. The pleasure is all mine.
Absolutely, Now, Jared, I wanted to start you off with an interesting question because I know that you're someone who believes that life is better with laughter, my friend. And tell me, why do you think life is better with laughter, and why do you believe people need to laugh more? But tell me your thoughts in that regard.
Things are, life is hard enough, and people go through, hardships, each and every day. Laughter just brings so much joy to people really anywhere and everywhere. I feel it's important, for everyone, especially if they're struggling, on a day-to-day basis. If they're struggling, then going out and forgetting about what issues you may be dealing with that day through laughter. It's so important for one's health, both mentally and physically, to laugh.
Yeah, absolutely. No. Jared, I want to know about your inspiring story and journey, my friend. I know you have dealt with bipolarism for your entire life, buddy, but that obviously hasn't defined your journey. So I'm curious to get your thoughts on your life journey and what the word perseverance means to you, my friend.
Yeah, yeah, it's a great question, Kevin, because there have been both peaks and valleys. Looking back, I was first diagnosed with ADHD and a nonverbal learning disability when I was in grade six. Years later, after a severe manic episode, I was diagnosed with bipolar 1 disorder. As difficult as the diagnosis was, it finally explained a lot of things that hadn't made sense throughout my life. The valleys haven't just been the major events; they're often the everyday reality. I've bounced from job to job, and struggled to find where I fit, and there were many days when it felt like I was existing more than I was living. One of my biggest turning points came after my diagnosis. I decided to stop drinking. For me, once I understood bipolar 1 disorder, I knew that alcohol wasn't helping my life in any way. It doesn't mean sobriety is easy for everyone, and I have tremendous respect for people who struggle with the addiction. It was simply the right decision for me. The peaks have come from rebuilding my life, returning to stand-up comedy less than a year ago, celebrating 10 years of sobriety, speaking at the Rady Center dinner, and now getting the opportunity to be on my first podcast. Um, one thing I've learned is that I haven't gotten through life alone. My family's, my doctors, my friends, and all the people who believed in me helped me get there. If there's one thing I'd want people to take away from my story, it's this: success isn't entirely in my control. Effort is. I don't know exactly what my future looks like, but if I stop trying, then I know nothing else is going to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And my friend, I know one of the biggest inspirations in your life was your mom, and sadly, she's no longer with us. But I'm curious to know what impact has your mother's influence had on your life, buddy?
Yeah, it's actually an easy question for me, because my mom had an incredible influence on my life. She was completing her doctorate in educational psychology, and she spent countless hours helping me through school. I'd been diagnosed with ADHD and a nonverbal learning disability, and she never stopped, believing in me. Unfortunately, she passed away just a few months after I graduated from high school, and she was always there for me. And she wasn't, and when she wasn't, there was no there really was no replacing her. If my mom was alive today, I believe I believe that she would have helped me guide me towards um, something that played to my strengths, instead of constantly trying to fit into places that weren't the right fit for me. I don't know exactly what path I would have taken, but I do believe that her guidance would have made a real difference in my life. She never got to see me get diagnosed with bipolar one disorder. She never saw me get sober or return to comedy or do things like this podcast. I hope she's proud of the person I'm still trying to become.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the ways that you found that identity, my friend, is through TikTok. And I know that you post inspirational content having to do with disability awareness, inclusion, and trying to build a social community of connection and bringing people closer together. So tell me about your presence on TikTok, my friend, and how that's helped you form an identity that you're proud of, my friend.
Yes, it's funny because TikTok actually came before my return to stand-up comedy. A friend of mine, Jim, looked at me one day and said, "Jared, you're funny. You should try TikTok." At first, I didn't know what to expect, really. Like a lot of people, I think part of me hoped that something big might happen. But looking back, I realized that wasn't really the point. But TikTok, it gave me a creative outlet again. It got me writing. It got me thinking about comedy. More importantly, it gave me the confidence to get back, on stage after being away from stand up for so many years. What one thing I've learned is that not every opportunity has to lead directly to success to be worthwhile. Sometimes one opportunity simply leads to another. And looking back, TikTok, led me back to comedy. Comedy, led me to new friendships and experience. And now it's led me here to having this conversation with you. And that's something I never thought would happen.
Well, my friend, you and I both know something about the importance of inclusion and resilience and
Yes.
overcoming obstacles. So I'm curious to get your perspective on what you want people to know about the power of resilience and the importance of including people with disabilities in all aspects of both societal employment and everyday life. What do you want people to know about inclusion and resilience, my friend?
I think for me, inclusion is about belonging. It's about being, accepted for who you are instead of, trying to become someone you're not. No job or post-secondary education ever worked out for me. For a long time, I was trying to find where I belonged, and I finally found that in comedy. Resilience to me isn't pretending life is easy. It's getting up and trying again when things don't work out. Living with ADHD and a nonverbal learning disability and bipolar one disorder, it's taught me that thinking differently isn't a weakness. Thinking outside the box isn't just something I enjoy. It often becomes a necessity. I don't believe resilience means never struggling. I think resilience means continuing anyways. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And Jared, as you know, I am someone who admires your story because you are someone that wants to capture goals and aspirations, and you have a relentless spirit of both optimism and inspiration. And I know for you that the pursuit of becoming a stand-up comic is something that you shelved for about 12 years before diving back into it, my friend. So talk to me about your love of comedy. What are your messages to people that want to pursue their dreams and aspirations, and some of your favorite comics too. Tell me more, my friend.
I've loved comedy for as long as I can remember. I performed, years ago, but then life, took me in a very different direction. It wasn't until, probably less than a year ago that I started writing again and seriously thinking about performing stand up. I'm still a long, long way from calling myself a professional stand up comedian. But I finally know where I want to put most of my effort and energy. I love that comedy, brings people together for an hour. People from completely different backgrounds can all laugh together. George Carlin has always been one of my favorite comedians, but because he made people laugh while making them think. I don't know where comedy is going to take me, and there are no guarantees. But I'd rather spend my life pursuing something meaningful than wondered, what might have happened if I if I never tried. So, if I don't try, I won't know.
Yeah, absolutely. And Jared, people with disabilities are natural problem solvers, and people experience solving often only on occasion when problems or issues come up in their own lifestyle. But people with disabilities have to be natural problem solvers each and every day. So, why do you think people with disabilities are gifted at being natural problem solvers, my friend?
I think the answer is, because we don't really have a choice. Every day we're adapting. Sometimes people assume disabilities, only affect one part of your life, but, they can affect how you learn, organize your day, communicate, work, and solve problems. Like I've spent my entire life learning how to adjust. Um, if one approach doesn't work, I have to find another. Living with ADHD and a nonverbal learning disability, and bipolar 1 disorder, it's taught me that I have to think creatively because traditional solutions, they don't always work for me. Thinking outside the box, isn't something I chose because it sounded interesting. It's something I learned because I needed it. When you spend your life adapting, you become comfortable, finding different ways to solve problems. I think that's something many people with disabilities develop over time. It's not because we're extraordinary. It's because we're constantly practicing.
Yeah, absolutely. And Jared, I'm curious to get your perspective on the lessons you think people can learn through, after going through adversity. Because as you and I both know, life is not a straight line. It's not graded on a curve, but there'll be some divots and redirects along the way. So I'm curious to get your perspective on what lessons in life do you think ordinary people, even if you don't have a disability, can learn after growing through adversity. What are your thoughts there, my friend?
So, I mean, as long as you learn something from it, and everybody gets knocked down. It's what you learn from that experience, and then what you learn, and then you have to continue to keep forward. Adversity, it's going to happen to everyone and anyone, really. But you can, everybody gets knocked down. It's whether you choose to get back up and keep fighting. Life isn't, as you say, it doesn't go in a straight line. Nothing is perfect, all of the time, every single day. If you are taught a lesson, you're being taught a lesson for a reason. But as long as you learn something from the adversity you face and then get back up and keep going, I think that's the key.
Yeah, absolutely. And, Jared, sports plays a big role in both of our lives. We got connected through our buddy Jason at the Canadian Football League Players Association. And I know that sports plays a big role in your life living there in Winnipeg. So tell me
Yes.
about the role that sports has played in your life and how it's helped you really create a sense of community and friendship. My friend, tell me about the role sports has played in your life.
Well, I mean, I enjoy sports because they bring people together. Same as comedy. For about 15 years, Winnipeg didn't have an NHL team. When the Jets came back, it gave the city something to rally around again. I've always enjoyed celebrating the positive things happening in the city where I live. A lot of people know me because of the gold suit that I wear to the Bombers games. It's kind of become my trademark. It's amazing how something that simple makes people smile and start conversations. I'm a big football fan, and Blue Bomber games are just fun. There's something special about being in a stadium with thousands of people and cheering for the same team. Sports they've given me unforgettable experiences, and it reminded me that sometimes all it takes is showing up, saying hello, and enjoying the moment. The fact that we're having this conversation, thanks to me, meeting Jason. Um, because when the Grey Cup was here in Winnipeg, I never would have expected, meeting Jason would lead to this, and it did, and it just goes to show you, the power of people, and saying hello to someone.
Yeah, absolutely. And Jared, I'm also curious to ask you about the importance of social connection and building camaraderie because, as you know, living with a disability, sometimes, we go through social isolation and really having to make up what I call the social deficit of opportunity. So I'm curious to ask you about the importance of building social connection, camaraderie, and community, and how important that is to you, my friend.
Well, I mean, it simply doesn't. It simply doesn't. This doesn't happen if I don't meet Jason. Connecting. Connecting with people is everything, because if you connect with people, you never know where it may or may not lead. Um, Yeah, and I think the first question that you asked me, I think I gave a different answer for something else. We might have to go back to that.
No, it was just about laughter and how more people need to laugh more, and I think it's connected to social connection because when you laugh more, you build a sense of community, don't you?
Well, yeah, yeah, of course. I mean, there were thousands of people at the outdoor comedy festival this weekend. So,
Yeah, absolutely. And but I wanted to ask you also about, the importance of music in your life because I know that music plays a big role in your life and also brings you happiness, my friend. So tell me about the role music plays in your life as well, my friend.
Yeah, it's always helped me feel connected. If I hear a song, I felt exactly that way. It reminds me I'm not the only person who experienced those, emotions. I actually think music, comedy, and sports, they all have something in common. They all give people an escape. No one is happy every minute of every day. Sometimes you need to lose yourself in a great concert. Sometimes it's a football game. Sometimes it's a comedian making you laugh. Those experiences remind us that life, isn't only about the difficult moments. They're also about joy, connection, and shared experiences. That's why music, comedy, and sports have always been so important to me.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I know that you have quite the reputation there in Winnipeg to being a social butterfly, my friend. So tell me, why is it so important for you to bring so much joy to so many people, and why do you think so many people categorize you as a social butterfly, my friend?
Well, I like to get out. What can I say? I think meaningful relationships are built by being genuine. When people know you're just being yourself, they're more likely to trust you and want to get to know you. I've learned that you can't force real connections. You can only show up, treat uh, people with respect, and be yourself. In my experience, that's when the best friendships and sometimes the best opportunities, that's when they happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And Jared, tell me, I'm curious to get your message to for people about the importance of living life to the fullest, my friend, and not taking any day for granted. What would you tell people about maximizing life opportunities and living life to the fullest, my friend?
B- because the biggest lesson I've learned is that there are no guarantees. Following your dreams doesn't mean it's going to work out. Working hard doesn't guarantee success. Being talented doesn't guarantee success. Life doesn't always work out though, that specific way. But I've also believed that if you stop trying, you're guaranteed that nothing is going to happen. And that's why I feel I have no choice but to keep showing up. Whether it's comedy, podcasts, speaking opportunities, or simply meeting new people, I try to stay open to possibilities. And I've also learned how important kindness is. Um, every opportunity I've had has involved someone believing in me, encouraging me, or opening a door. I hope I can do that for someone. I hope I can do that for someone else someday. I said this. I think I said this before, but success isn't entirely in my control, but effort is. So I have to keep showing up and putting in the effort.
Yeah, absolutely. And Jared, my final question for you this afternoon has to do with your own personal and professional legacy, buddy, and how you want that to be defined.
I mean, it's a really interesting question. because I don't think about, legacy as being remembered for fame alone. If comedy gives me a larger platform, I'd love to use it to make a bigger difference. Whether that's supporting charities, helping people, or giving back to, my community. I'd like whatever success I have to, I'd have, to benefit more than just me. Personally, I hope people remember me as someone who was kind, grateful, and genuine. Um, Professionally, I hope they remember me as someone who made people laugh and maybe made a difficult day a little easier. Because I don't know what my future holds, and I don't know where comedy is going to take me. But if people remembered me as someone who kept trying, appreciated the people around him, and used whatever success I had to help other people, I feel like I lived a meaningful life.
Yeah, absolutely. And finally, my friend, tell me if people want to get connected with you and see all the good content you're putting out. What's the best way they can do that, my friend?
So my Facebook is Jared Rayter, JaredRayter. My Instagram is at Jared Rayter, and my TikTok is Jared Rayter 0. So
Fabulous, my friend. Well, I certainly enjoyed this thought-provoking and inspirational conversation about resilience, a little bit of laughter and comedy and everything in between, my friend. You're extraordinarily interesting and inspirational person, and it was a real pleasure to engage in conversation with you this afternoon. And I want to thank you so very much for being here.
well, the pleasure was all mine, Kevin, and I wish you all the very best and continued success. And it was wonderful, talking with you.